All right, we ready?
I think so.
All right, hi everybody. So welcome to the Q&A with Dean Massey. I'm Sammy Mack and I'm a senior in Eisenberg working for Eisenberg's Marketing and Communications Department. Dean Ann Massey, an Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Programs, Melvin Rodriguez, will be joining us today for the Q&A. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
Very good.
Awesome. So we did a call out for questions last week, and today the Dean is answering the ones that came up the most often, or the ones that seem the most urgent right now as we're all easing into this new reality of all virtual classes. So some came from individual students and others came from faculty and staff members letting us know what students have been asking them a lot. If you're watching and you think of other questions, you can drop them in the Q&A below. And then after the session, we might put together a written FAQ page or even do another webinar based on the different questions that we get. So Dean Massey, if you're ready, we can launch into the Q&A.
Sure.
And the first question is, some students are feeling that remote learning makes my classes feel optional, even though they're not. What are some ways to better imitate in-person learning and develop discipline and structure?
Well, first off, Sammy, thanks for being our moderator this afternoon. I want to thank Melvin for joining us. There was a number of questions that I thought he was best suited to help us answer today. And I appreciate it. I just want to do a shout out to all the students. I know this has been a difficult and a surprising transition for you. Totally unexpected. I've also said, as many of you know, this is my first year. I certainly didn't expect this my first year at Eisenberg and at UMass. So, but I have observed, as I've said to people, everybody coming together and grace under pressure and the Eisenberg spirit, and I appreciate everything you do, and I know Melvin and the undergrad office does, and all the programs. So thank you. To your question, Sammy, about the transition, I just let you guys know, you probably didn't know this, but my area of research is virtual teams and remote work, believe it or not, and I've been studying this with organizations for almost 30 years. This is the most extreme situation that any of us have ever been in, where we're working remotely, we are socializing remotely, and there's just nothing normal about it. But what I will tell you guys, and I try to do it too, because you always have great suggestions for people and you try to follow them for yourself. This notion of working remotely, and many of you may ultimately do remote work when you go into your organizations or do some working in virtual teams where you're not physically with the people that you're working on a project or with. But what I would suggest is that you need to get into a working mode. So when you've got your classes in any given day or projects that you're working on or team meetings, is that you have physical space that you set aside, whether it's a dining room table or you have a desk at home or your room or in your apartment, wherever you're living, is that you've got space to do your work where you can leave your stuff. It's kind of like the breakout rooms that, in Eisenberg, or the tables. Some people, and not everybody, get up every day and they get showered and they get dressed like they're going to the office, or at least maybe just the top of it, maybe you can have sweats on the bottom, it doesn't matter, but doing that. But I will also say that one thing, and this is I've been talking with a lot of faculty, other folks on campus, that one of the big differences that everybody is saying is because we're doing everything online, we don't have the natural breaks that we would as we normally do in the physical world, right? Think about when you come to the building, you walk over, you're walking around the building, you walk to the Carney Cafe, you take a break, you have a cup of coffee, a bite to eat, you move from one class to another. And now literally you're moving from one Zoom meeting to another, right? Or you're working in front of your computer on some project. So and I do this too, right? All of us are doing this. So what I would suggest and what I try to do is I get up, I move around. I always have a little bit of time in between meetings and I just take a walk around. I might get up and get a cup of coffee. I build into my day, and our dog, we were talking about this earlier before you guys came on. Our dog is loving this, taking breaks, taking her for a walk, getting out and getting some fresh air. I mean, that is so restorative. And so I really encourage you to kind of get in a pattern. And then the last thing, and I've told the faculty this too, is that when you're working virtually, you need to over communicate, right? You need to over communicate. Nobody knows you're out there, right? Out of sight, out of mind. If you have a question, send an email. If you have, you want to get socialized with your friends, connect with them in Zoom or phone call, text, whatever you're using, is you've got to stay in close contact with your instructors, right? Force them to over communicate with you. If you've got a question, ask it, expect an answer. I've told them to over communicate, sending things out to you. And then also stay connected, obviously, with your friends and family. So everybody's in this together. So those are just some tips. I'm trying to follow them. By the way, you guys are seeing the bookcase in our living room. I get sick of sitting in my office all day. I pick my laptop up and I go to different rooms in our house. The weather's getting nice. I sit out on the patio. So if you have a meeting with me, you might see some different backdrops that aren't Zoom backdrops. They're actually our house. So I encourage you to do that too.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great advice for sure. So the next question is from Jared from the class of 2020. So he asks, how will the recent pass-fail announcement affect our residency credit requirement with respect to our summa cum laude eligibility and status?
Well, I do know, and I was in a meeting and can confirm this, that the Honors College, the Commonwealth Honors College, has waived the grading policy for honors requirements for this spring for 2020. So pass-fail works. They are still trying to determine, at last I know, and I don't know if Melvin has any update, for the Latin honors, they are trying to finalize any adjustments for spring 2020. I don't know that that has changed, but the pass-fail is good to go. So no worries there.
Great. The next question is, can students take an incomplete for 1 or 2 courses if they're falling behind?
I'm going to ask Assistant Dean Rodriguez to answer this. He's got all the details on these kinds of requirements. Let me turn it over to Melvin.
Thank you, Dean Massey. Thank you, Sammy. Yes, you can request one as long as you are passing the course at the time you make the request. Just as the pass-fail deadline has been extended to April 29th, so has the withdrawal dates with a W. And remember, as I always say, the W looks better than a bad grade. In this case, however, you're doing pass-fails. Just remember that pass-fails, if you get an F, it does show up on your transcript as an F. You do have to pass the course in order to get the credits, and it won't affect your GPA unless you ask for that. Saying that, with the incompletes, Dean Brown and myself, Associate Dean Brown, we are going to reach out to the faculty and inform them that we are encouraging faculty to be a little lenient with deadlines if need be, so that you have time to kind of finish. We understand what's going on. Dean Massey has been very, very supportive of everything, and we thank her for that. So we're going to be encouraging that. But definitely reach out. Let me know as well if you reach out to a faculty member on requesting an incomplete. And just remember, incompletes factor in as Fs until you finish the class. Once you finish the class, then the grade that you receive in the class will go on. Since you're hopefully taking the class pass-fail, if you don't do as well as you normally would have done, you can opt to keep it as a pass-fail. So it is the way to go right now.
Yeah, this is really designed, the pass-fail was really designed to protect the students, particularly during this difficult transition. So that's great. Thanks, Melvin.
Great. So the next question is, are Eisenberg and UMass offering any resources to students who work on campus who can no longer pay their bills?
Yeah, the first thing, and we are aware that there are some students in some very difficult financial straits right now. And so the first thing that we recommend is contacting the Dean of Students office on campus, because they are very much, they've collected and are aware of emergency loans that are available to students, and they can point you to other resources. We do have some resources within Eisenberg, as some students know, and we're happy to help where we can too. I will share with you that a number of our alumni have reached out, and they are interested in helping as well. So we're trying to get some of that support organized. But the first place to start would be the Dean of Students office on campus, because they've been collecting and organizing this for a couple of weeks now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next question is, when will that undergraduate office merchandise be available again?
This is great. I love that, business students want to know about selling merchandise. That's a very good sign, right?
Yeah.
So right now, the last I understood is we are trying to work a way to accept payment and process shipping. As you can imagine, right now, shipping and delivery is difficult on campus. And so we're trying to figure out how to do it and process that. So we're not quite ready to take orders right now. But as you know, you can, stay tuned to social media. We've got some swag giveaways, and we're going to have more information to shop Eisenberg as we go forward. I'm going to put in a plug too. Some students have been doing this. I know over social, we've been asking students to take pictures of themselves in Eisenberg swag and gear, and then send them back in, and we're trying to send those out and create a really nice sense of virtual community. So if you've got some swag and some gear you want to take a picture and do it and send it back to us, because that is actually very fun.
Great. I will definitely spread that word as well. Cool. So our next question is from Michaela from the class of 2021. She asks, I'm a rising senior and I need to start my honors thesis next semester, but the faculty member I want to work with seems stressed right now. Should I hold off on asking them?
No, I would ask. I mean, that's the faculty member, they probably are a little stressed like we all are right now, but the thesis, they may not be ready to sit down and start getting it all outlined and all, lined up, but initiating that conversation, there's nothing wrong with doing that now. And in fact, it may bring a little cheer to a faculty member's days looking forward into the fall working on a project with a student. The faculty love doing these projects and working with students, so that's a really positive thing. So don't be afraid to ask. They may not respond right away, or they may not be ready to fully outline everything, but they're receptive to those questions. So don't be afraid to do it.
I add to that, I know some of you had applied for the School of Management 499 CD, and every now and then I get an email, when are we going to hear? You will be hearing by the 7th, April 7th. So you will hear before the registration begins for seniors, for rising seniors.
Great. Awesome. So some students have questioned what will happen if the transition to remote learning continues into the fall. Hopefully it won't. Should they sign up for online classes for the fall? The rationale is that they would rather be enrolled in classes that are meant to be online rather than take the chance that on-campus instructors will be teaching remotely again.
Well, let me echo Sammy, your comment about hopefully we're back to normal operations in the fall. That we all want that. We miss the students, we miss each other, we miss being in the building on campus and all the good things that come with the university. So let's all keep doing what we're supposed to be doing right now with the social distancing, and see if we can do that flattening of the curve and get us all going in the right direction. I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to let Melvin answer a question more specifically about enrollment. As all of you know, their faculty did a quick transition when they were doing the residential face-to-face classes, moving to our remote learning for the rest of the spring. We are thoughtful and planful. We are considering what happens if we're not able to come back fully as we want to in the fall. So faculty are already starting to think about, how can I take my class and create a truly online experience, not just a quick transition that they've done in the last couple of weeks. So I can assure students that, let's hope not. Let's hope that that's not the case. But if we are in a fully remote mode, at least to start the fall, people will have invested that much more time and energy and effort and creative thought into how to design a course that was always intended to be online fingers crossed, we're not going to have to do that. But I just want to assure students that that is something that we are thinking about. But Melvin, why don't you talk about the enrollment rules that we have?
Right. I mean, I agree 100% with Dean Massey. I think the faculty, especially, I think our faculty, many do teach online. So as Dean Massey mentioned earlier, we're ahead of the curve, and I think we'll just get better at it. Hopefully for not, right? Because we don't want to be in that situation come next fall. But saying that, what I would say is right now the university sets that standard, and the way it's set right now, the university has it that if students take an online class, they will be charged separately. So for now, sign up for the courses that are on campus, unless you were already planning to do that. Take an online course through UWW. That is a possibility. But as I said, if you don't want to pay extra, stick with just registering for the on-campus courses that say university on them on Spire. And I'm sure if anything happens over the summer, the university will certainly respond and get information out, and we will certainly get information out to all of you as quickly as we possibly can.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. So some students are confused about enrollment dates and aren't sure how they can find that. Do you mind clarifying that?
I think, and this is news to me too over this last year as I'm getting acclimated to how things work at UMass Amherst. And students know this more than I do, that the world is Spire, right? And that, checking Spire and seeing what's going on in there is really important. And so the dates have been pushed back in Spire, as far as I understand. And so you want to pay attention to your emails, pay attention to, any announcements that are coming out. We're probably coming at you from a lot of different directions, and then going into Spire and checking that. And, advising has the FAQs. Melvin, is that correct? We've got
that is correct.
And that is continually updated, right? So, any information, all this is moving quickly. It's starting to settle down, but checking, advising. By the way, I mentioned earlier, Chase Career Center has updated its website. They've got new FAQs, so I encourage students to go to Chase. There's some things about online career advising and some other resources. So let's try to find and keep track of the emails and the announcements. But it has been pushed back. The enrollment dates have been pushed back.
That's great to hear. I know some people were struggling figuring out classes and things, and reaching out with advisors too, as I'm sure they're getting bombarded with emails and calls.
Yes. Keeping up with your emails is the hard part.
Yeah. So will there be any specific Eisenberg Senior events postponed?
Well, as everybody knows, the formal, for now, the May 8th and the associated graduation and commencement related events have been formally postponed. Campus and schools are starting to think about what can we do. So there's two things here that I would suggest. One is, what do we do around the normal May 8th date that we can celebrate and honor our graduating students? And we're going to be doing it virtually, okay? So our folks in the school, we're already starting those conversations about trying to do some sort of virtual, let me warn you, not a virtual Zoom graduation. So don't worry about that. We're not going to try to do that. But if we can do something where maybe we can share pictures and video and things like that to celebrate. But the real hope is that things are going to get better and settle down, that we may be able to come back this summer, hopefully this summer, later in the summer, worst case in the fall, where we bring people back and we are able to celebrate together, that we can have a celebration. I know everybody wants to do that. And so, I encourage students, if you've got ideas, you guys are some of the most creative people. I've just been so impressed with students, meeting them with the different clubs and groups this year. If you've got ideas that you want to put forward that can help us think about what can we do around the traditional graduation May 8th? What could we do in lieu of that? What can we do virtually? Please, please, please send them along, because we would love to incorporate those into discussions. And you are the source of the great ideas. And after all, it is your celebration. And we want to work with you to do that.
Great. Yeah, I know the majority of seniors that I've spoken to also hope to return to campus for that.
Well, and I'm going to take it from a business perspective, and I think you guys would appreciate this. The loss of students and the loss of UMass Amherst College, Hampshire, Smith College, Mount Holyoke, the impact on the economic health and well-being of the Valley is devastating. So if we can get to a place this summer that we could bring you back, you and your families and friends, to celebrate, what a great way to help some of our local businesses. There's nothing I would rather do than get people in hotels, get people in restaurants, doing things that we always do. So that's what we're hoping, that this could be a good thing, not just for the students, but also for our friends in our local communities.
For sure, yeah, definitely. And going back to that, do you have a specific way that you would like seniors to contribute their ideas, or an email that is best?
Melvin, is there an email that we can send there, or you know what we can do, because he may not know. What we'll do is we'll get the avenue, whether it's through social or other email, we'll push that out to everybody so you'll know where to send it. That'd probably be the best thing to do. So we'll get that done. It's a good question. We will figure that out and get that out to everybody.
Great. Awesome.
Sammy, you've got some ideas of your own already?
I've been brainstorming.
All right, good. Good.
Yeah. Well, that was the last question. Is there anything that you would like to add before we wrap up?
Let's see. I don't have anything else other than, if you have questions, please just send them forward, right? The undergraduate programs office, our graduate programs office. I know we have some graduate students with questions. If you have suggestions for honoring our graduating students, we'll get an avenue for you to do that. I just want to say that along with Melvin and myself, the faculty, everyone in the school, the staff, everybody's been working so hard, and it's been stressful for students. It's been stressful for everybody, both professionally and personally. Like many of you are now back in your homes, and suddenly your families have a whole bunch of people there that they didn't expect, right? All day long, especially if you've got kids or elderly members of your family, whatever it is. So we're all kind of dealing with this. But I want to say again, I want to thank the students for your grace under pressure, for your patience. I'm not kidding you when I say Eisenberg is a real star on campus, because I come back, I go to meetings on campus, and I come back and I query the undergraduate programs office, or guys say, what's going on? And they're like, everything's going well. We're the students are doing their job. And I'm so proud of you, and everyone in the school is. And so we greatly appreciate it. And don't be afraid to ask a question. Don't be afraid to offer a complaint. We want to fix things. We want things to run as well as they can. But, thank you all so much. And, we want you to stay safe, stay away from everybody. Let's do that social distancing thing. And if we all do that, we might be able to get this moved along faster than otherwise. So Melvin, you have anything you want to share with the students?
I think you said it all. Thank you so much, Dean Massey, for your leadership during this time. I know that faculty and staff appreciate it just as well as the students do.
Well, this is a great school. I couldn't be happier. I know the students are, and so let's just keep it going forward. And Sammy, thank you. You did a great job. Sammy got a career here as an announcer, or we'll see her on the nightly news soon enough.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, thank you everybody.
Thank you. And we've been recording the session, so we will send an email out with the link, and we'll take a look at any of the questions you put in the Q&A and figure out the best way to share those. So thank you everybody for participating. And as Dean Massey and Melvin said, we're in this together, and we will get through it together. So stay safe out there,
Good.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good weekend.